All right, so we are still here on Pandanet as a 7Q. We've only played 2 games now, so 3 more games, and we'll see if it still ranks us up, like what, 3 or 4 ranks like it did last time. So, oh, I guess I should say that if you are interested in supporting me or want to see more videos, I do upload some extra videos for YouTube members. It is just $5 a month, same as like a Twitch subscription, but on YouTube, you actually get an extra video each week. Anyway, let's get into the game. All right, that was pretty quick. We are white in this game, so let's just keep it nice and simple. I think I will probably do 4 4s. Okay, we'll mirror our opponent for a little bit. Okay, approaching first. I think what I learned from AI was that you should actually take a 3-3 often, at least one when everyone's playing a 4-4 openings. But I'm not going to worry about AI right now. We're just going to back off and play a basic Joseki. Let's go completely old school and actually just block the corner. Nowadays, you don't do this, but why not, right? And they went a little far, actually. Normally, you can do the 2-space back off, but we're doing 3 spaces here, which means this invasion is kind of annoying to deal with. But I'm not going to worry about that for now as well. They have an extension, and I want to prevent their enclosure from being on the board. So let's take away their enclosure. Playing high, all right. We could do the same thing they did and just do this slide, or we could take the 3-3 for fun, but let's just do the slide. Let's do the same thing they did, but play it properly, or at least more properly with the 2-space extension instead. Now they're going up to the top side. I think we can still just back off. We don't really have to do anything complicated. I do have a 3rd line move already, so I'm going to play on the 4th line just to make it a little bit different. I like to have a little bit more of a balance between 3rd and 4th. And we are just going to take the corner again. Keep it very, very simple here. And they're doing the same exact shape they did on the bottom. Kind of funny, honestly. But because they do that, let's just approach again and see what happens. Let's see how they want to play this game. Maybe we'll be able to show some invasions this time. We'll even do the same slide. We're going to play everything exactly the same, except for here, we can do a knight's move back off, raising this up to the 4th line. Okay, now they're jumping on this side. It's still possible to invade on the top, but now they have a very obvious weak point. Because they did the 3-space instead of the 2-space, we can just invade on the bottom directly. Oh, we want to try to kill the stones. There are a lot of ways that you can handle this. For example, even just invading again, giving up one side to jump out towards the center is perfectly acceptable. In this case, I'm going to keep it very, very simple and just try to live with my group. So I'm going to start with the attachment here. Oh, wow, they are just going to let me push. Normally they would Hane, and since they did not Hane, I get to push again, giving me more space on the bottom of the board. After this Hane, we feel pretty good too. We still need to keep expanding our eye shape, so I'm going to push one more time here. We want to make our base as wide as possible to make sure that we can live. If we just want to live, we can probably just do this diagonal, for example. Could try to ask for a little bit more with an attachment, because if they try to capture the stone, we get to cut through. That's entirely possible. Or we could push and try to do something towards the center, but I think we just want to make sure our group is alive. Let's ask for as much as we can get, because I'm fine with running out towards the center or living locally. So let's attach here. Okay, they're going to capture. Means we can cut here first. And Atari. And we could do some sort of ladder here where we Atari down and push through, or you can just jump directly. This does leave a little bit of Aji though, because there'll be pushes and cuts everywhere. So I think the Atari directly is going to be a little bit better, because when we're coming out, we're getting this move here at J4, which if they were able to push through, it would have been really bad for us. So we're pushing through all the way. I'm even going to go back, prevent their Atari on the bottom of my stones. This gives me some extra eye shape. And if they don't capture, then we get to capture that and live 100%. And now we can just keep coming out towards the center. Ah, interesting. Pushing through here, I guess, is probably fine. This is a cutting stone, so I wouldn't mind saving it. But I need to ask myself if I can attack my opponent and if my groups are fine first. If my group gets surrounded, I believe I can live very easily with a move like L1. Is my opponent in any danger? if I connect here, and I do think they are. So I think I will just connect. It's very important to make sure that my group was fine before doing anything else. Extending up here, this is sort of the vital point. I thought they would continue to push through, but they did not. So I am fine with connecting my stones up. It's very, very important here. Now that my stones are connected, my group is fine. And I'm still able to run towards the middle here with my other stones. And I'm also able to get a move for free towards this group on the bottom because it is not alive yet. But before I try to do that, I don't want to get surrounded. So I will just be jumping out towards the center. Keep my stones connected is also threatening to capture 2 stones. So very happy with that. And now we can push to get ahead of our opponent. That's what our goal is right now. We can't do anything that's too quick because they'll be able to cut through us very easily. So we have to be very solid and try to push in front of our opponent here. The Hane could be too much. So let's play very simple and just make sure we're connecting our stones. We won't do anything too complicated. Now we're basically connected. We should be fine and good enough to play here. This isn't really threatening our stones anymore. We are connected, so we don't have to answer that move. And now we can go back and play a move on the left side here to threaten to capture these stones. We could even get this move in for free if we really want to. It would just be maybe like a co-threat in this case. This first move is at also some points, which is why I wanted to make it. So now we need to make sure that we are going to be fine here. If they do play another move, like this peeping move here at P7, it does look like we do need to sort of connect everything up, and maybe we have some potential weakness. I think I do want to fix that. So instead of fixing it directly with just the Hane, because I'm not really getting much from the Hane, I want to see if I can fix it in a stronger way. So I'm going to push into the corner here, because what I read out was that this is still connected to the center. And if this is still connected to the center, I just want to make it so that there's a stronger connection overall. So we'll see if we can get anything here. Normally you Hane first, or no, you don't Hane for you turn first. I got distracted with what I was saying. Because if they connect here, then you can Hane into the corner. And if they connect in the corner, we're able to get this really clean connection here, which is also threatening to push in, which feels really good. Now we know that we are fine with our groups. I don't see a wave to be cut off because we made sure our connection was very strong. Our next goal is to make sure the center doesn't really become anything. So I think the easiest way to do that is to sort of build from our own area first. And what I mean by that is if we play this knight's move here, we're threatening to build our own area while also making sure the center is more difficult to build. We just have to block here. This cut is a little bit strange. To be very safe, I did read it out a little bit here, but to be very safe, I'm just going to extend here in the corner. Just make sure my corner is basically safe. And now we get to fight in the center, which is what I wanted. So I'm going to jump here. Because if they push and cut, I can capture them first. So we're just going to keep extending here. Just keep extending. We don't need to Hane, no need to do anything special. Just make sure our group is 100% safe. And now they're going after the corner first. But their group is not alive. I'm guessing what they want is for me to block here so they can get a free move on the other side. So I'm actually going to go after their base first before going back to the corner. I think I even want to do this potentially to threaten their group even more. Double check. Yeah, I think I'm going to extend up here, threatening their group even more because I'd be able to push through and potentially damage them to a large degree. Interesting. I thought they were going to peep here for a second. The peep doesn't quite work right now because I have enough liberties, but that was something I thought they were going to try to do. Yep, just connect everything. So now we just need to make sure our group is alive. An easy way to do that is just to make the 2 eyes directly. I do like what they're doing, by the way. They are trying to hurt my group in a lot of ways. So if we get this Atari here, our group is basically just alive. So I think we can Atari first because I'm going to prioritize the fact that their group is not alive. We're going to get this move in, which is hurting this outside area. And now, no matter what they do, I already have 2 eyes because I have the separate eye here at D15. So now we can go after the group that they didn't protect yet. We can just turn here to make it very simple. We try to peep or do something special. Usually playing from the outside is better, but we are basically connected here, so we don't have to do anything. But I do think this is probably still the more proper way to play, so I will just turn here. I had to think about it for a bit first, but our groups are fine. This doesn't quite work. This is just a net. It's not a direct net because they have an Atari and can Atari out like that. And that might actually even still be fine for me, honestly. But I can Atari again and then net. Okay, I will just connect now. I want to connect because it leaves the Atari open on the other side, which is what I'm going to play now, just for fun. But the reason why I'm okay with playing it is because if they take all this in the center, it doesn't matter if, for example, their group over here is not okay. So we're going to keep it very simple and just Atari their stone and push, because we're surrounding their group in the center here. And they're asking for way too much, and I also got Tengen before they did, so obviously that's too much for them to handle. So we can just cut this one directly, because there's a bunch of Ataris everywhere. So we will cut, because they are trying to do too much. And then we can just go back and protect our own cutting point, because that's something we have to do. But protecting our own cutting point is also going to leave them with a cutting point here. So we protect this way, because if they cut, we have to Atari down, and then it's an Atari on us, and we have to Atari down again. It's just too much to worry about. So now we protect here, threatening to cut off half the stones. And now we can go back to our outside area because they decided to protect this and not just save the outside. One of the things that's always really nice to do is when you have a stone like this one here, when you Atari it directly, it becomes an empty triangle on both sides. So it always feels good to play this sort of Atari. And if we really want to try to go after all the Aji we possibly can, extending here is maybe the better way. But that leaves an attachment and some other weird stuff. So I'm just going to connect my stone. Make sure my stones are basically connected this way. Okay, we just connect solidly. This is a threat to push through my stones. I don't want to allow that. This is what we were figuring out earlier. We can just extend here to make sure our group is completely connected. That's why we played these moves earlier in the game. And here, they're not playing moves that are connected, so we can just push straight through. All of our stones are connected. Their stones are not. We can just push and cut. Yep. This is where we could play a more fancy move like this jumping move here. Or we can just connect solidly because they are threatening to push and cut again. We just need to make sure they can't cut us. So we'll just play nice and solid. Jump's also fine, but we'll play solid here. Yep. They now have at least one eye for the most part. It's still not completely one eye, but is this move Sente? Very, very good question to ask. So they push and cut here. We have to Atari. Then they Atari this side. We capture, then they Atari here, nothing happens. They Atari down, nothing happens. They push and cut the other way, we just connect. And they can't capture these 3 stones. So it's not Sente, which means we can go back and fix the other area where they could maybe make another eye. Can they make another eye? Well, maybe if they attach here, maybe if they threaten to bring this stone out, there's a little bit of something to worry about. So we're just going to fix this as a possibility. And the vital point for me is this move here, but the vital point for him is at G8. So I'm going to play the vital point for my opponent. The vital point because it's a move that threatens to make a tiger's mouth on both sides if they play it. So I want to play this one, I believe. So yeah, let's just do this one. And now we fixed our cutting point. We've also made it so they can't make another eye in this area. And again, before we did that, we also made sure that if they pushed and cut here, it didn't do anything. It looks like they may have run away. It said they disconnected. So if so, I'll have to wait here for 5 minutes, but we'll find out. Seems like my opponent is back online. We'll see if they end up playing some more. Throwing in here. All right. Capture. Connect. I wasn't sure if they were going to keep playing, so it's nice to see. Yep, we just need to connect. Remember, we read this out earlier. We do have to be a little bit careful here because they could have pushed in, for example, and they have some Ataris and such, but they just can't make an eye with it. In this case, we're able to just connect, and I'll show you that after the game for sure. In this case, we just connect, and they can't capture these stones. Just need to make sure they can't go forward too much. And they need a certain amount in a row on the second line in order to live. 4 in a row is not enough. I can actually probably Tanuki even now, but I don't want to give them the Atari. So we're going to Hane here to make sure they can't go further than this. But we need 7 in a row with Sente in order to even live on the second line, so I'm not worried too much about it. And then they resign. I'm glad they came back and we finished the game. So I did want to check what happened at the end of the game, show you some of the reading there. So let's just jump all the way to the end here. If they really wanted to try to do any damage, they would have had to push here. I block, then they can push in directly right now. I do have some moves I can play right now if I really want to. For example, I can throw in and Atari, and I can even Atari again if I really want to right now, which really gets rid of a lot of liberties. But I do have to connect to make sure that they can't cut. I probably have enough eye space to win the liberty fight, though. So even if I don't connect here, just connecting here is probably fine, honestly. This prevents the cut from being an Atari. And now when they cut, we can make an eye. But assuming that I have to sort of let them cut, or I have to sort of connect my groups up, when they Atari here and I connect and they capture this one stone, it is not an eye here. So this would still be fine. We could just make sure our group is okay. Now, as you can see, though, they do not have that many liberties, so I am probably able to do the other way because my group does have probably 2 eyes, but just in case it didn't, now I'm for sure still okay, even if I've let them cut through. I think my opponent was actually doing pretty well in this game, because if we actually go back to the beginning here, and even though they played some awkward moves, and I could have probably taken advantage of some things in a little bit of a different way, I decided to keep it more simple without really changing too many Joseki here. We just played the same Joseki in like every corner, which is just sort of funny. But the reason why I was okay with this is because after they jump up here, there's still the weakness, right? They have a weakness on both sides. So I'm going to get at least one of them. I don't have to rush and try to get everything. I only need to get one of the weaknesses. And so we're very happy to see this. After this invasion, we can just live here very easily. We could even just do it like this if we really wanted to make sure we're just alive. I don't even need this last move, but just keeping it very simple. We can just do something like this. I want to try to get a little bit more. And I would much rather come out towards the center if I can. Because as you saw, they were sort of connected all the way through. And that gives them a lot of influence towards the center, which means that I can't really make points on the left side. And I just have to deal with reducing. So that's why I attached instead. Because if they back off, we get this for free and we're likely already alive. And maybe we can even just push and cut directly and fight here, which is still good for me overall. As long as my group is alive, this is fine. They decided to capture, which was probably actually the better choice. But what I liked is that after I pushed through here, even though they made this Atari first, this extension actually ended up being a quite nice move on their part. I save one side, and then they're able to come over the top of my group here and still get that influence towards the center, which I thought was very nice. But then the reason why they lost this game, because I think up to this point, yes, they don't have that many points on the bottom, and I still have a full side and another potential side, not a full side, another potential side. They do have a lot of potential in the center, especially after this, right? They have a ton of potential in the center. And while my group is fine, if they're able to make all of this into territory, or at least get a decent chunk of it into territory, then maybe I'll end up behind. Now, I do think I probably have enough to win the game, because they only really have this top side. But I think this ended up being a not bad idea overall for my opponent. But they end up losing the game for sure when they do this cut and allowing this fight to happen, because apart from reducing my territory, what they're really doing is they're hurting their center group, which we saw later on when it ended up dying. Even if it doesn't look like it's hurting it right now, it is hurting that center group. So we get to fight a little bit here, and he doesn't quite get to live with both sides, and the cutting point doesn't quite work. If they want to do something on the left side, they should just come into the left side directly. This is still threatening that push and cut, but we already have a stone here now. So if I fix that, maybe they can attach here and they can just go to live in some way if they really want to. But you can see that this is still hurting his other group. to some extent, right? Because if we prevent them from connecting up, you can see that there's still an annoyance sort of going on here. So instead of doing something like this, when they jump here, they could just make sure this group is alive. They could even just do something very, very simple. Let's just have them do this to make it really obvious that this group is very likely alive. They could jump way further than this or do lots of other stuff too. But if I come over to the left side now, they still have the option to potentially invade and even cut this off. But let's just make it even simpler. If it's like this and I keep all my points, they get to cut the center off. It feels really nice. So I don't want to let that happen. But then if I make sure this is connected, then I get to lose the points on the left side. So they can spend one more move to make sure they are okay. And I can't play one move to 100% guarantee I get all my points on the left. And their one move in the center is still going to be useful for potentially making their own points in the center as well. Because they don't have to play this one. This is just a really obvious move to make a direct eye. But they could be jumping further on either side, for example, potentially mapping out some area here. So this is sort of how I would have approached the game at that point in the game, though I would have probably played a little bit differently earlier. I hope you enjoyed this game. I thought this was kind of interesting. A little bit of a complicated game in my mind, at least. I wasn't able to concentrate the way I wanted to, but I hope it still turned out well. Anyway, have a good day and have fun.